Overthinking. Overthinking is when your thoughts and worries circle in an endless loop. Instead of preparing for your next steps, overthinking usually leads to inaction because it causes you to become overwhelmed by fear. Overthinking can be a symptom of depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. What's going on, guys? My name is Predator Gaming, back with a brand new Call of Duty commentary. Today, we're going to be talking about overthinking and why you need to stop. So first off, I'm a victim of overthinking. I still deal with it day to day, and it's probably never going to go away 100%. Because if you are that person that overthinks constantly, it's going to be very hard to break it. There are people that definitely get out of it. I haven't been so lucky at this point in my life, but I'm definitely working on it. So I'll talk a little bit about the signs of overthinking, causes of overthinking, and then a couple things that I've seen on the internet about how to stop it, and things that I'm using myself to beat it. So overthinking, signs-wise, is an inability to think about anything else, being unable to relax, constantly feeling worried or anxious, fixating on things that are outside of your control, mental exhaustion, tons of negative thoughts, replaying a situation or experience that you've had in your mind, second-guessing your decisions, and thinking of all the worst-case scenarios. So the cause of overthinking can happen for a couple different reasons. So one, you're not being solution focused. That's the biggest thing. And definitely one of the things that I've put into effect in my life is, yes, imagine, whatever the problem is, instead of being like, oh man, I wish this wasn't the case. Like the example for the research that I did in on this was something about a storm. Essentially, the example for the research that I got was, imagine a storm is coming, overthinkers. I wish the storm wouldn't come. It's going to be awful. I hope the house doesn't get damaged. Why do these things always have to happen to me? Problem solving. I'm going to go outside, pick up everything that might blow away. I'll put sandbags against the garage door to prevent flooding. If we get a lot of rain, I'll go to the store to buy plywood so I can board up the windows. So functionally, focusing on your solutions and dealing with making the decision is difficult for you as an overthinker. There's a couple different types of overthinking. There's the all or nothing person, the person that thinks involves situations in black and white. That's it. Instead of looking at both the good and the bad, you only talk about it as if it's going to be a success or a failure. Catastrophe overthinking, where things are so much worse than they are, you might fear that you fail an exam, and then this leads to the rest of your life being a failure. And then overgeneralization, which is pretty much you base your rule or expectation for a specific event in the future based off how one went in the past, not under the impression that it could be different. You see this a lot with dating. You get people that had bad relationships in the past, and it seems to be the same problem over and over, not knowing that the situation can and probably will turn out differently with a new partner or in a new scenario altogether. One of the things that I've done is whenever I get those thoughts, I bring this up quite a lot, basketball, jiu-jitsu, I do a lot of physical things, and I'm not necessarily the person that's in the most shape. Like, I'm 300 pounds, I'm 6'4", I'm not like in great shape, obviously. I don't know anybody that's 300 pounds that's not a bodybuilder that is very healthy, and that's just a personal, I'm not saying that's not, somebody's not out there that's 300 pounds is extremely healthy, but it's the percentages are a lot lower, just being honest, and that's okay too. Anyways, that's not the point. When I find myself getting in these situations where I'm worried, I recently had a competition going into my first match. I was very nervous. I didn't think I was good enough to be out there. I didn't think any of that. And then when I won in overtime for my first match, I went into my second match with all of the confidence in the world. What I should have done, right, going into the first match was to challenge all of my thoughts. Like, example, I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know how long he's been training. Fundamentally, for us to be in the same bracket and same skill rank, we have to be roughly in the same amount of time in the sport, right? Like, logically speaking. Okay, who does he train with? I don't know. I can't control that part of it. Let's push that out of my mind. Who do I train with? All right, well, I got black belts, I got blue belts, I got purple belts, I got Division I wrestlers that I train with. I should be all right. I need to look at all the small wins. That's another thing that I've been trying to build in myself, is looking at the small wins every day, whatever it is, saying I take a little victory here, a little victory there, even with work. Like, if my goal is, I send out stainless steel quotes, so if my goal is to send out 3 quotes, I give myself a tiny little pat on the back every time I send one out. And on the days where I send 4, 5, 6 quotes, I'm usually pretty happy. Or if I check somebody's quote, let's say I only send 2, but I checked 6 quotes for other people in my department, I'm going to count that as a victory, because I'd sent, if I send 3, then really I should check 3, but I sent 2 and I ended up checking 6. So that's pretty good numbers on my end. Another thing is, you might be doing better than, or people might think you're doing better than you think you're doing. This is another instance with work. I've been kind of falling short of my quota. We have to send out 300,000 in quotes every week. That doesn't mean we get orders for 300,000, but we have to send it out. And the last couple of weeks I've been at like 280, 290. However, I've been getting more projects. So like I just recently got 2 chain accounts, and I'm learning a specific new part of the business that nobody else in my department has learned, or nobody that is currently there. We have somebody out on injury, but nobody in my department has really learned these things yet. And I'm in the process of learning those along with 2 new chain accounts. So as much as I feel like maybe I'm not hitting my quota and my numbers aren't as good and maybe I'm not as confident in my work, my boss is seeing me improve and giving me more things to work on that are going to lead towards my promotion, which I'm very much looking forward to. So a couple things. The problem isn't really ever the problem. 99% of it's going to be in your head. 1% is actually the reality, and usually it's not that bad. You're going to want to avoid self-rejection. So if you don't think you should go for that job, apply for it. If you don't think your work is good enough, if you don't think your video is good enough, post it anyways. Don't think they're going to respond to anything, send it. Silence and time is also important. The truth is most problems aren't solved with more thinking. You'll usually just time it out. Like if you send your solution in, it might take 2 or 3 days for everything to kind of start flowing. Power of now. You're not going to overthink your way into a better future. You're not going to overthink your way into a better past. All you have is right now. So you got to stay present. That's another thing I do in training is I'm there. I have to stay where I am. Fact check your own thoughts. So usually your brain will start twisting things negatively. Like, oh, for instance, I use my pro basketball situation. I averaged 1.5 points, but I played professional basketball with no high school or college experience. So did I average 1.5 points? Yeah. Could I have done better? Hell yeah. Did I do it with no resume when I had guys that played overseas on my team? Yes. And then also accepting that whatever the outcome is usually what the outcome is going to be. In the UFC, Muslim fighters usually just leave it all up to God. And they're very okay with whatever happens in that ring, in the cage. So there's something powerful about letting it go. Knowing whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And sometimes it's out of your control, and you got to be okay with that too. Hopefully this video gave you guys any kind of insight or help. If it did, drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.